everyone, it's Justine, and I'm super excited to be a part of the Create a Smile video blog hop, and I'm going to be using the new release and talking about my favorite Distress Oxide combinations. To get started, I'm going to be using my Misty. You might be wondering why I haven't been using a magnet lately, and it's because I'm out of town and I forgot my magnet. However, I'm going to be working with the In Bloom stamp set from Create a Smile. It's got some really amazing flowers with really gorgeous detail. If I had some zig markers and things like that with me, I'd be totally coloring these in. However, I don't, so I'm going to be making some embossed flowers and then doing different backgrounds, again with my favorite Distress Oxide combinations, which I know everybody's been enjoying these inks lately. So now that I've laid them all out onto my card, I'm going to stamp these 5 times and emboss in white embossing powder 5 times. I'm not going to show you this happening 5 times, but I'm going to get 5 different cards out of it so I can make different background combinations. So I'm going to ink it all up with Versamark ink here, and I'm just going to make sure that my stamps are really nice and inked up since they're brand new. They may not stamp properly the first time because of manufacturing residue, but I'm not really going to worry about it too much right now. If you have an embossing buddy, I recommend prepping your paper with an embossing buddy in advance. I don't have one on me, so I'm just going straight for the embossing. So I'm just going to push down here and put even pressure all over the stamps, and then I'm going to continue on doing this 5 times as I mentioned before. So for my first Distress Oxide combination, I'm going to take you through it in sort of a regular speed so that you're able to see exactly what I'm doing and how I blend and which combinations I'm using. So for this one here, I'm using Fossilized Amber, Spice Marmalade, and Worn Lipstick, and I'm going to be starting off and doing a diagonal sort of blend. I go off the paper and I come onto the paper slowly, doing a circular motion. You'll notice that with Distress Oxide inks as well that you won't get as many harsh lines, and if you do, you can usually buff them out, whereas with the regular Distress inks, that was always a problem that I was hearing about over and over again in the comments. So this is really cool because you don't need to practice as much, or even at all for that matter. So once I'm finished with a color, I try to keep that on one of my handles. So it's always really nice to have a few handles. I'm on vacation, so I only have 2 with me, but I only own 4 in real life. So I just use those and I go back and forth. So once I go through with the orange, what I tend to do is go back in with the yellow and try and buff out that line that you can see, that clear line where they don't really blend. They're just kind of overlapping. And I find that works really well. So by keeping that on the other handle and having 2 handy, or even 3 for that matter, it just makes things a lot quicker. Of course, you can just switch out the sponge each time, and then you can only have 1 tool if that's all that's available to you at the moment, and that's perfectly fine as well. I only recently just invested in another couple. Once I'm finished that, I'm going to go in with the pink and I'm going to repeat the process. I'm going to stage you up a little bit for the other combinations so that you're not sitting here bored watching me do the same thing over and over again. Okay, so now going in with the pink, you're going to really see that emboss resist happening with the really pretty flowers from the stamp set. And I keep going back and forth between the 2 colors until I'm happy with the blend. And then for the last step with the Oxide inks is that you have to add a little bit of water to really get that Oxide look. So what I do is I just dip my fingers into a glass of water and just flick my fingers over the surface, and you'll get a variety of amounts of sizes of droplets, and they look really cool. And I'm going to set those off to the side to dry because I find when I reheat embossing powder, sometimes it gets a really ugly look. It doesn't look good afterwards and loses that shine. So I want to make sure that doesn't happen. For this next combination, I'm doing a rainbow technique. So I'm going to be using Broken China, Wilted Violet, Picked Raspberry, Spice Marmalade, and I'm going to give this Wild Honey a try. It's the first time I'm actually adding this one to my usual rainbow combination. I normally use the Fossilized Amber. However, I thought I'd give this one a try because I haven't used it yet. So once I'm finished doing the rainbow technique here, I am making sure, because these are colors that blend together, so when you're doing rainbow techniques, you want to keep the color wheel in mind, how things blend. For example, so blue and purple are going to blend nicely together. Purple and pink are going to blend nicely together. Pink and green, not so much. So you have to keep that in mind. Even with the oxides, you don't get as muddy of a look, but you will get some muddy colors if you don't have things that are naturally matching. And that's why I think it's important to keep that in mind. I find the wild honey and the spice marmalade actually quite a similar color. So if you're on a budget, I would suggest just getting one out of the two colors because they are so similar. For my next color combination, I wanted to do a sort of under the sea look, and this is one of my favorite combinations as well. I'm going to use all the blue hues, so Salty Ocean, Broken China, Peacock Feathers, and Cracked Pistachio to create this one. And this time I'm not going to go on an angle, I'm going to go up as if you're going up to the surface from the bottom of the ocean. However, I am going to start at the top, and I'm going to go from light to dark this time to show you that that's possible as well. Now once that's all finished, I'm just going to spritz over the water again and add different droplets once again. I think that the reaction against the inks is just so pretty, and this is an effect that needs to happen. It gives that wow look to your card. Now this is another one of my favorite combinations, however, it is quite similar to the first card that I did. I'm going to be using wild honey, and I'm going to be using spiced marmalade and fossilized amber, as well as abandoned coral. Abandoned coral, as some of you might know, is one of my favorite regular distress colors, so I love using it in oxides as well. This time, however, instead of going on an angle or in an ombre sort of effect, I'm just going to add patches of color here and there. And I started off by doing the two corners, and I was going to do all four corners, but then I thought it kind of looks like patchwork, so I wanted to just go ahead and quickly add in some more of the other colors. So I went ahead and added some more abandoned coral to the side, and that was the exact touch that it needed. For my fifth and last card, I'm going to be doing sort of an 80s blast of colors, so I'm going to be doing pinks and purples, and I'm going to do abandoned coral, wilted violet, and worn lipstick this time. You could also easily replace the worn lipstick with picked raspberry. And I love this color combination. It just reminds me of being a kid and having those Lisa Frank super colorful notebooks. I don't know if anybody else had those, but they were my favorite, and they all came in these types of colors, so I generally really enjoy doing this color combination. Alright, so once I finished with this card combo here, I decided to go ahead and let them dry. And then all I did was on the dry panels, I heat embossed the word happy birthday and put them onto some white cardstock card bases here. And so I hope that that's okay that I did that off screen, since I already did embossing in the video and I do card base mounting on every video, so I thought I'd skip over that. I hope you'll continue on to the video hop, and I'll have more information about the video hop there over on my blog, as well as the video description below. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and have a wonderful week!